Destroyed houses, lack of water, heat and electricity supply, constant missile strikes and artillery shelling. These are the living conditions in Bakhmut, Donetsk region. This city is currently the main target of the Russian army.
The enemy is continuously hitting our positions with all types of artillery, mortars and tanks. Our servicemen fight back with dignity. The enemy suffers heavy losses but continues to attack. Serhiy Cherevati, spokesperson of the Eastern Group of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on the air of the national telethon.
In Donbas, the Russian command does not count losses, Brigade Commander Ruslan Shevchuk says. Sometimes Russian soldiers go on the offensive with only small arms.
Here their main approach is not to spare the personnel, they call them single-use, they brought them in, showed the direction, sent to the offensive, then they were killed. After dinner they sent the next ones. Stupid, linear, scorched earth tactics. Head on until the last soldier. Ruslan Shevchuk, colonel of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, commander of the 93rd Independent Holodny Yar Mechanized Brigade, in an interview with Suspilne News.
Despite significant efforts and resources thrown at the Bakhmut direction, the success of the Russian army is minimal, but it will not abandon its attempts to attack Bakhmut, the head of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine said.
Bakhmut is just their desire, which they have been wanting to achieve for 8 months now. From a military point of view, Bakhmut has a very advantageous position, since it opens further routes to such cities as Slovyansk, Kramatorsk and Chasiv Yar. Kyrylo Budanov, head of the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, in an interview with the War Zone.
The reason for Russia's incessant attempts to storm the city lies not only in its strategic importance. Bakhmut is the main potential trophy for the head of Wagner private military company Yevgeny Prigozhin, against the background of the conflict between the power structures of the Russian Federation, namely the leadership of the General Staff and the Ministry of Defense on the one hand, and the Federal Security Service, the members of Wagner PMC and Kadyrov on the other. For Yevgeny Prigozhin, the battles for Bakhmut are an opportunity to demonstrate his superiority over the armed forces of Russia.
Russian forces are not making significant progress around Bakhmut, Donetsk region or anywhere else along the front lines. A Russian information operation is advancing the narrative that Russian forces are making significant progress in Bakhmut, likely to improve morale among Russian forces and possibly to improve the personal standing of Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin, whose forces are largely responsible for the minimal gains in the area, from the report of the American Institute for the Study of War.
In parallel with the successful defense and deoccupation of settlements in Donbas, Ukrainian defenders continue their counteroffensive in the south of the country. According to the head of Ukrainian military intelligence, Kyrylo Budanov, Kherson can be liberated by the end of November. His British colleagues also reported that the Federation intends to speed up its withdrawal from Kherson. All that is left for the Russian army is to attack peaceful cities in order to force the Ukrainians to negotiate on their own terms.
Drone strikes and the aerial bombardment of Ukrainian cities is a sign of Russia's weakness. They don't have the ability to advance on the battlefield. They can't seize new territory. They can't even hold the territory that they have. Kurt Volker, former US Department of State Special Representative for Ukraine, in an interview with Lithuanian National Radio and Television.
Volker stressed that the so-called partial mobilization in Russia is not able to change the course of the war. According to him, the Ukrainian army is in a much better position than the Russian one. It is not only about the operational situation on the battlefield, but also about the high motivation of the Ukrainian military. Reported by Serhiy Kulas, Valeria Nikipelova, UATV News.